Hey, you guys, it's me. So, I've been thinking about, thank you, little fairy, doing a little segment called The Bitchy Witch because I have to get this high to not lose my shit. And not that I mind getting that high, mind you, it's fun. However, um, I'm just feeling like I keep seeing this word heritage. It's literally all over this motorhome that we're living in. And those of you who haven't seen the other videos, Alder and I are staying in a motorhome right now on this guy's property for a work trade. There hasn't put it, no timeline has been put on, but there is talks of us moving into a cabin up on the hill that's in renovation. And a lot of you know that one of the things that I've been working on is control. A lot of people in this tribe have control issues. We micromanage. We don't look at it as controlling, right? We're like, I just want to know. Like, why is it so wrong with like wanting to know? By the way, I'm only sitting here because there's this cool light going on behind me. You know, I love to play with spirit. But I'm like, I seriously like was like, I want to start some type of group called the Bitchy Witch because I think it's powerful to talk about what's happening, you know? Like not every second because I know that that becomes like an ongoing chronic thing and I can tell like for Alder like it's starting to like really grow like this lighting is amazing. It's really starting to get to him. Certain things are starting to get to him. Certain things are starting to get to me. And I was like, man, we've got to communicate. You know, like communication's a really, really big key right now. Um, Bubba and I are good. We're peas and carrots again. I just shot like a little video of us. I'll put it in. I don't know when I'll post it, but maybe it's posted already. Maybe I'll post before this, but it's a little shorts. But it's just like there's just a lot going on, you know. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I feel like I'm going this way. Oh, by the way, look at my hand's almost normal again. Almost. You can still see the puncture wounds on my finger, the two, but the one is healing really well. Sorry not to show you my scabby hand, but this is my regular hand. I'd show you together, but I can't. There's Frodo. He's doing really good. All of the plants survived. Now Poppy's pot broke, so I got to get her a new pot. Cracked, and she's kind of living almost like, you know, she kind of looks like the Little Shop of Horrors plant. She's all over the place, but we're keeping her alive. But anyway, I that's what I mean. It's like this, like it's good to like kind of bitch about what's happening, but then like laugh through it too, you know, and just realize that life is life and we can't control everything. And I'm just gonna say this, and I say this with soul knowledge, not with conceit. I say this with 50 years of merit, but I just have found a lot of ways to not have certain things happen in my life. And, you know, some people consider that manipulation, control, or whatever. I feel like I feel like the people that are like myself are really old souls. You know, we've been here, we bought the fucking t shirt, we sent the postcard, you know what I mean? But so we're just like, if I know how to avoid that, why wouldn't I avoid that? But the lesson that I'm getting from spirit is because I have to keep switching hands because I that's the one thing. It's like I feel like my hand like can't. It's like the clock. Like it could only like hold the phone for like so long, and it's like oh, it hurts. I may have to change positions in a minute. For a minute, I'm like looks like I have a microphone on, but it's just a shadow. Anyway, I'm really high. I have the attention span of a gnat. But it's just because I'm downloading a lot of information. I've been watching that young lad, Tyler Henry. I had to change positions. It was like too awkward. Also, my hands are itchy, which is a good sign. That means it's healing. But yeah, so I think I watched one episode of Tyler Henry before, like maybe a few clips, and I remember like kind of watching him like, you know, because certain things he'd say, I'm like, I don't feel that, or I don't believe that, or whatever. But I was just like, whatever. But while I've had to, you know, rest the claw, I realized that Ooh, that's interesting. I'll get to that in a minute. There's something downloading really cool right now. But I've been like binge watching him, and I'm just like, oh, he's so good. Um and I was like, man, I miss that. I was like, I miss being like a straight up medium. So I'm working on something with Spirit right now for my channel. So if you are interested, if you would like to, I've been thinking about doing readings for people, um, where we'd be recorded. And I think it's good to help people realize that it's a real thing and it's not fake. And I think there's so many fake mediums out there that have been like playing the game, running the game for a long time. And now like people like myself and Tyler Henry are like, we're fucking woke, bitch. Like we're the real deal. Like when people say that to him, I just was like, and I say this again with truth and soul knowledge, not a fucking ego, but I hear that almost every person I ever read for the first time are like, wow, one of the things that comes out of their mouth is you're the real deal. And I think it's important that we point out the real deals right now. And it's not for me to be like, oh, I want to be famous like Tyler Henry. No, it's it's um it's important for people to not be afraid of us. It's important for people like when they're so surprised that he's so sweet or so kind and loving. And I'm a sensitive. It's like one of the things that I love doing is after I read for somebody or talk to somebody. It's freezing in here. um, I always feel really connected to them. I don't want to leave them hanging in any way, or I want to offer whatever services I can in whatever way. Um, but there's just a lot of fallacy going on right now. There's a lot of bullshit, and I'm a human bullshit barometer, and people know that about me. And yeah, so if you're interested, we'd have to figure out how to do it. Or if you have social media and you want me to have me on your social media and record it, and then I can put it here as well. You know what I mean? Like we could do something like that. We could do like a trade. You know what I mean? Like kind of like free advertising for everybody. I just feel like we need to go in a different direction with this channel, because even though it's the magical medium, it's like that's what I am. I'm still just a medium for all of us, like, for what we're going through. And thank you to those of you that do comment and tell me like what's going on or how you're feeling or whatever. It's important. It's important to let people know that this is real and that what's happening on the earth is real, but that we're not just in the movies, we're not just in a book or a TV show, that this is real. And that those are actually mirrors of our reality. And I feel like the world will wake up faster and heal itself. And again, that's not about control. I just kind of am getting this vibe from Spirit that I need to go in a different direction. I love doing the readings. I love doing a lot of different things, but I just feel like, one of our fellow tribe members recently, when I went to their home to work with them and their husband, she was just like, gosh, I remember when I first met you and you didn't use cards, you didn't use all that stuff. She's like, you were just like spot on. You just like, sat there and started talking to me, and she's like, that fucking blew my mind. Or, I don't remember, I'm paraphrasing, but something like that. I still got to be careful. I'm like wearing multiple layers right now. It's like, it was like 100 degrees in here, and now I'm like freezing. It's fucking crazy. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest in the summer. And also, I'm right across from Canada. So, I'm like soul. Yeah. Just a lot of changes are happening. But anyway, I know I'm kind of rambling on, my stoner, but you hear me, you feel me. It's like there's just a lot happening on the planet, and there's so many people who want to help, but they don't even know what they're doing. And I'm actually really excited because I'm going to be reading for another powerful light worker soon. And they're older and have influence, and it's interesting because I'm realizing how important it is for us to connect with all ages, you know, especially when I'm invited into a home of like 4 generations. I take that like an honor, like that's a real serious thing. And I feel like I forgot myself for a minute when I was in the campgrounds, but my sensei, Carol, kind of brought me back to life. But there's just so much. And then Alder and I like had this like really awful communication this morning, and it just left us both kind of feeling ungrounded. And I realized it's because there are so many things that are changing right now, not just on earth or in our hometowns or wherever we're living, you know what I mean? But internally, we are all going through a significant change right now. And now more than ever, I think it's fascinating because we have tribe members here from Down Under. I think it's fascinating that, you know, we're going through summer in the northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere is going through winter. I mean, that's kind of a head fuck. When you have a lot of changes all at once, it can be really big, you know? I mean, I don't think we take for granted like the parents where, you know, the kids are going to school and, you know, they're back into a routine. It's like the last 3 or 4 years have just been such a head fuck. And people started going back to normal, but there's really no back to normal because people were so shook on the inside that this is going to vibrate ancestrally for decades. If it's not healed right now, we need to talk about it. We need to discuss it. We need to, you know, focus on certain things. And when people don't want to hear that and they don't want to talk about it, that's where it can be really debilitating and frustrating. So I think for myself, I need some water. I think my bitch witch, I think where the bitchy witch is coming out is that, you know, sometimes we have to kind of pull the plug on the bullshit. And if you're having like a certain situation with a friend or a family member, a lover, whatever it is, and then, you know, or your job or all of the above, and then one thing shifts, it can shift the whole time continuum in your life. For example, myself, why I'm speaking of this is today is, I feel like I should be like star date. Actually, I probably could because there's 31 days in July. Today's August 2nd. So that's 33. And then 28, 29, 30th. So for 36 days, I've been out of Big Camper. Now I'm in another RV, much bigger than Big Camper. Actually, like here's the front, right? But I'm in like the living room part. There's kitchen, then the bathroom, and then there's a bedroom in the back. The bedroom makes a huge difference. But at the same time, I've been having like these weird fucking moments where I'm noticing how Alder and I are going back into these patterns we used to do before when I worked from home, and he, you know, he's a mobile mechanic, so he'd go to, you know, people's houses. Well, hold on. Okay, so second for you, many seconds for me. This is where the bitchy wish comes in again. Is it complaining, or is it like, I have to keep moving because the RV is not level? And I can literally only sit or like go forward for so long where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have vertigo. And I told Alder that I was like, that was what our fight was about today. That's what kind of started the whole thing. I'm like, when I get comfortable, I'm like, I'm going to stretch and talk to you guys. That's what was so frustrating about it. I was just like, you know what? He's going back to the way it used to be, except for in that place, we were set up. The camper was set up. You know what I mean? It was like a tiny home. My hair is scary. And we had running water. We don't have anything right now. We don't have electricity. Actually, that's not true. We don't have electricity. We don't have running water. We do have a propane stove. But that's not enough. You know, I can only be on my phone for so long at periods of time because I don't have a charger, you know, unless I get a solar charger, right? Which I'm probably going to end up doing anyway. But I don't know. It's like, I'm not trying to bitch. I'm just more like, he's just like going to work like it's any other day. And I'm stuck out here again, like now I'm really in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? Which is cool. And I love it. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But, while I was healing, I still can like, I can't really like color or do too much. There's only so much I can do. And I can't, you know, I can only be outside for so long. You know what I mean? So, I'm not saying it to sound like a baby. I'm more like trying to get him to understand that, you know, I'm super sensitive to everything around me, my surroundings. And so we're on an, you know, the RV's not level. So it's like vertigo, you know, it's like I have to like climb uphill, you know, to like get to the it's been an interesting experience. And so today he was trying to fix it and he thought it was fixed. And I'm like, it's not fixed. And I was like trying to explain it to him and he got really mad. And I was just like, you're overworked, you're frustrated. I'm like, you need to fucking breathe. And it just got really ugly. And I was like, we're fighting like we used to. I said, it's like one minute we were camping and being like fucking partners and, you know, everything was great, to like, man, go back to like real life and like everyday life and like work or whatever. It's like nothing, you know, it's like nothing changed. And except for everything did change for me. I don't have my whatever. I'm not, you know, and I don't know. It's just like he's just not even recognizing, but or understanding how that is, you know. I think in his mind it's like, well, look, you know, we at least we got a place to stay. We're not camping anymore. We're not. I was like, no, but I also like have to be really careful how much water we use. And I mean, it's just been, I don't know. It's like he just doesn't appreciate it. So that's been hard because I'm appreciating how hard he's working, but he just forgets like that I'm, you know, like I'm not really a pioneer woman and I've done a really good fucking job. And those of you who have known me, especially those of you who know me my whole life, like, you know, come on. I've come a long, long way in 7 years, a long way, and I'm really proud of myself. And, you know, there's only so much a person can fucking take before they're like, hey, you know what? I need to be heard here. This is what I need. And so I know we'll be fine and we'll work through it. And that's the positive. So it's like, that's why I like the Bitchy Witch, because I think it's good to talk about it and vent, you know, because I think it's important that our feelings are validated. And when I was a child, I was so sensitive and I was told all the time, you're too sensitive, or toughen up, or whatever. And I think that I became this fucked up mess and this control freak and this because I knew that I was different than everybody else. And I knew that I could only, or I should say that I couldn't control anybody else, but I could control myself. So if somebody's perfume was like really smelly, I knew like I'd be like, "Oh, I don't feel good," or I learned how to like, not to sound, you know, but I did. I learned how to lie. I mean, I had to. I had to learn how to lie, um, you know, so that I can be comfortable. And when you think about that, I'm gonna bring you guys closer to me. I'm like, I'm trying to find a. I'm just so uncomfortable. I went from sleeping like on a, um, what do you call it? A mattress and a tent to like back on a bed, but it's like from like 1984. It's got our mattress pad over it, but so yeah, it's just it's been a tough go. And you know, it's like I don't want to sound like a big baby or a complainer, but I think it's important for us to address when we're feeling things, because even now with this spiritual movement, which is lovely in so many ways, you know, and I know I promote it too, to be, you know, super positive, super positive. Yes, you know, a great portion of our lives, it's important for us to be like, you know, hey, you know, let's be positive, let's be, you know, but on the other hand, it's also important for us to go through whatever it is. Like if we're having feelings about something, it shouldn't have to be in question or be slighted or turned sideways to make other people feel comfortable. And that's what I was realizing today. I was like, I'm like, you don't get it. And he just got really mad. And I'm like, I go, if someone's telling you that they're upset, I'm like, where does it make sense for you to get angry? I'm like, like, what does that mean? And that's what a lot of people, like when I was growing up, my friends, my family, my bosses, like coworkers, it's like they'd get angry at me for showing my emotion. And then I realized like I'm just a big fucking mirror. And a lot of people aren't as open with their emotions as I am. And I'm tired of pushing them down or pushing them aside, or people saying you need to get grounded and get control over your emotions. It's like, one minute people tell me not to be in control, and then they tell me to get control of my emotions. It's such a fucking like weird thing. Like I I feel like I really need to work through that right now. You know, like I need to think about a lot of things from a lot of, you know, digest a lot of things that have come my way. I mean, for 36 days, I've been, you know, living all different lives and connecting with all different people from all over the world. And it's been so fucking cool. It was amazing. I feel like I'm going to be digesting this for a really long time. But at the same time, it's like, I think when, I think it's okay, you know, or I know it's okay to like ask for comfort, especially because we've been in discomfort. My thing to him was, we've been in discomfort for all of these days. We've been struggling, we've been like, you know, moving here and moving there, and we got, you know, just a short small taste of it. I can't even imagine what people who've been home free for a long time that don't want to be home free. I mean, my heart goes to them in a way I can't even explain. I'm like, I can't get comfortable because I'm going downhill. Hold on. But I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just trying to be real. I'm just trying to be myself. So, you know, I think one of the home free things that I was taught was that it's beyond the control. It's more like, as an empath and a telepath, it was as if I had the radio and the television going 24/7. And what my sensei was trying to tell me was that what the elders tried telling me a long time ago, through meditation, the ancestors, which was that I should be able to find peace and grounding in the middle of rush hour, you know, in a subway station in New York, in the busiest subway station in New York, you know. And either I'm just not ready for that yet, and I still have a lot more to go and a lot more to grow, or I am just like a really highly sensitive being, and now I know I can't be in that energy, because Alder and I talked about that. We're like, should we just you know, live on the road? Like, would that be fun for us to live on the road? Would that, you know, the interesting thing was, one of the interesting things was when I went to the emergency clinic, you know, to have my hand looked at, the doctor told me there were two things he was really concerned about. One was I had high blood pressure, which I didn't know, but it does run in my family. It's so good to know. But also, I just had the bite, you know, 6 hours prior, you know what I mean, or 7 hours prior, and I was like, it was really going into like infection, and you know, it was building up really fast. I should have listened to the people around me that told me to get on antibiotics right away and arnica and all that, and I should have listened, and didn't. Very important lesson, but it was the way it was supposed to go down. But yeah, I mean, I just started to realize like that is really interesting. And then he was concerned about my skin, and he said he can see a lot of skin damage. And I said, well, I've been home free for, you know, a month, so I've been in the sun, and I haven't worn sunscreen really, I'll be honest. But you know, it wasn't super hot a lot of the time, you know. I had long sleeves on a lot. But he said no, he could tell that the damage was probably from my 20s. And I said that makes sense, because I lived in Los Angeles in my 20s, and I was a beach bunny and was always outside, and, you know, wore some sunscreen, but it was in the 90s, you know, early 2000s. And I know I should have, but I just didn't as much as I should have. So that made me like, okay, I need to focus on healing my skin. It's the most important organ on our body. So, you know, there was just a lot of lessons through this pain and suffering. So this bitchy witch is saying like, I have a lot to think about and a lot to go through and a lot to understand and digest and facilitate so that I can move forward, because, you know, I'm having all these visions we keep taking walks up to the cabin, and I've been having visions. Every time we walk up there, I have a different vision of this property. So I do think I do think this may be ours, which is exciting. If not, maybe I'm just going to live here for a year and help him get it to a really beautiful place, and he's going to sell it and we're going to find our place. I don't know. But either way, I know we're helping each other, and so there's exciting things there. There's a lot of things here that could be really, really special, that could make this like an amazing spiritual getaway property. I mean, the view alone is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's the other day we were standing up on the top of the hill by the house. It was the way that the bay was and the way that the strait was. It looked like it was this massive boat, but I want to, the vacation boat. I can't think of it. You know what I'm talking about? Huge. But the way it was with the clouds, it seriously looked like it was floating in the clouds. I'm like, look at that. I'm like, that's freaking me out. He's like, I know, it was amazing. And I'm like, dude, that's Canada. That's crazy. And like, we have a really cool view of Mount Baker. It's neat. It's really neat. It's a cool property. There's a lot of medicine here. This was all Native American property, for, thousands of years before the white man came here. So there's just a lot of, it needs a lot of healing too. So yeah, the first night we got here, I feel like the fever, all that. And then if you heard my other video when I was talking about that, I've been seeing the ancestors. One walked right past the window when I was in the bathroom and like looked at me and like kept walking. And I was like, okay. I'm like, and I said to Alder, I'm like, apparently I'm seeing things again. And it's been happening off and on for a while. I just thought if I didn't talk about it, they wouldn't come back. But I have them all. I can see them, hear them, feel them, smell them sometimes, but very, very, very interesting. And, but I knew the way that they looked that they were not from this time period, not this time period or dimension, I guess. I don't know, whichever way you look at it. But yeah, and Alder said he's been feeling it too. And so, but they're happy we're here. They're happy we're here. But there's a lot of darkness here too. Like when we were arguing today, it felt like when we used to be at our old place, that kind of energy. And I was like, there's something dark here. So we're healing that. We're working through that. We're working through our own stuff still. I think this is a very transformational year for us. We're both 50. 5 is, the transition and the hardship, which he just turned 50 in May. So I'm like, fuck, I'm 6 months ahead of him. I'm like, why couldn't we be at the same? But we can't. So I guess I chose to be the ahead one that goes through it first. But I've always had to go through things first. I haven't had to, but I don't know. I kind of feel like that isn't my soul DNA, that I go through a lot of things first before other people do, or at least through my cycle. Obviously, I'm not the first one to go through it, but you know what I mean? Like through my cycle of people or whatever, I tend to go through things first. Or, sorry, we're going through things at the same time. Because sorry, you guys, that's gross. But I don't know where this hair came into my mouth. My own hair. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but that's the freeway. So it's the only negative. But I will say, some days like yesterday, it was kind of busy. It was kind of soothing because they're going. You know what I mean? There's no stop signs or lights. So in a weird way, it's kind of nice. It's just like a river. It's like a river of vehicles, a river of energy going in and out. But yeah, just so many lessons. And I feel like I'm in some ways, I feel like I'm the strongest I've ever been as a medium. And in other ways, I feel like I just woke up in a lot of ways, And I have, because I was in the dark night of the soul for a really, really long time. And, but there's been moments here where I've been like, I want to call my mom. I want to tell her where we are. And, she's been here. And I felt this was pretty much the last place she was before we took her back, to the airport to go home. And there's something really magical here. And she said that too. She said, I could totally see you living here. And I said, yeah, I really love it here. So I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But yeah. Thanks for letting me talk. I feel like I want to start something like this though. where it's no money, but like if you guys want to be a part of it, let me know. Where we can all come together, the bitchy witch sessions, where we just kind of like maybe gripe about like what's going on, and then we all kind of help each other through it. And then, we leave happy and joyful, and then like, give each other that good boost of energy and healing energy to kind of keep us going in our day. I think the connection of that would be really fun. Also, speaking of connection, where we are, the connection's not so great, so that's why I haven't been responding to a lot of you guys, because it's like it drains my phone so much. But when I go to the top where the cabin is, I get really good reception. So that's going to be good when we live there because it's so high up. Yeah, I do hope we live there. I don't want to get too excited. It's like until it's an actual thing, I just feel like it's better to be like, this is where our work trade is right now, when that is ready, when it's all, I mean, I feel like this needs to have no pressure around it. If it's the real deal, then it won't have pressure and it'll happen naturally. And if it doesn't, then this was just a short time period where we, helped each other out until we can, get on our feet. I just, I'm open to whatever comes our way. It's been rough, but it's also been very telling, and a lot of teaching moments, a lot of learning moments for everybody involved. We've been like working together. It's been pretty intense. Even Bubba and I had this moment today that was like so precious, where we both were like, I'm sorry I was a dick. But I also think she was meant to bite me. I really do. Is that, I know it may be weird to some people, but and debilitate me like that. I needed to slow down, and I needed to disconnect from everybody. And I think I was feeling this responsibility to this family that was really struggling with the loss of their matriarch. And as much as I wanted to be a part of like their ceremony and things like that, I just knew I wasn't supposed to be there. And now we're doing things differently. We're going to be working differently with that energy and with her. And so we're doing what's right for everybody in the family. It's not about me, right? And I don't think we were, I know we weren't supposed to be there. It's not that she didn't want us there, like, you didn't know me, you're not my family. It was more like, I don't know what went on or whatever. I'm sure I'll find out, but, and if not, it's none of my business anyway. But I just realized like, yeah, that felt right. And get this. So she asked me, well, she didn't ask me to, but I'm like, oh, let's do an altar for her. So we did an altar for her on the day that they were doing her life celebration service. And it was so cute the way it turned out. And I'm like, oh, I want to send him a picture. So I went to take a picture, and then I heard her say, would you make a video? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I go to make a video, and there was this really nice music playing, like this Native American music. So I thought she meant like with that. So I started making a video, and then I stopped and I said, this doesn't feel right. And I'm like, do you want a different song? And she was like, yeah. And so I said, okay. So I went onto my phone and I put it on shuffle, and I said, play whatever song you want to play. And I swear to God, when La Vie en Rose started, I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, this is my favorite song. And I was like, oh. And so I recorded it, and then I was like, I'm going to send it to him right now and let him know, like, we're not going to come and all that. And she's like, oh, please don't. She asked me like really politely not to. And I was like, oh, sure. And I was like, do you want me to send it later? And she's like, yeah. So I waited, and I was like, I'm going to text him and tell him we're not coming. And she's like, no, just don't. And I was like, okay. So I let it go, and long story short, she had me send it the night of, and I didn't get a response, and I didn't think anything of it because I was like, whatever. They just had I'm like, that's heavy. It's one thing to be like, okay, they passed, but then it's like when the service comes, it gets real, So, so I didn't hear anything. And then yesterday he texted me, and he was like, oh my gosh, he's like, that was so awesome. Thank you so much. I shared it with my daughter, and he's like, that was really amazing. And then when Alder got home last night, I said, did he say anything about the video to you? And I said, because he told me that it was awesome or something like that. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, did you know that was her favorite song? And I go, well, she told me that. I go, but I wasn't sure, like, I go, sometimes you say that to somebody, like I'll read for somebody and they're like, no, that wasn't their favorite song. And then like sometime later, they'll be like, I found out that actually was my mom's favorite song. I didn't know that. I always thought she liked this song because she played it all the time, But anyway, so it was like kind of cool. Not for me, like, ew. It was just a confirmation, like that this is the right path for me to continue working with them. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the connection it might not be there if they're not ready. So that was really really powerful, and so yeah, I thought that was really rad. And yeah, so it's fun to be a medium, but sometimes it's not fun to be a telepath. And most of the time, it's not fun to be a telepath, to be honest. And yeah, and it's hard when you know more than the actual person knows about themselves because their higher self is telling you X, Y, and Z, and then they're telling you, you know, no, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because they haven't come to the acceptance of that within themselves. So there's like a big, like, that's very interesting when that happens. So that's why my bitchy witch is coming out and dealing with. I feel like in some ways we took some steps forward, in some ways we took some steps back, my family and I. But we're working through it, and we're strong motherfuckers, and we've gotten this far, and we're gonna be fine, I'm sure. And thank you for all the healing energy and the support. Thanks, you guys. It's been amazing, and yeah. I really do hope that this cabin becomes ours because let me tell you something. There is this one corner of the house that I'm super excited. I think is going to be like where I'll do spirit work, and I'm really excited. So I hope, I hope, I hope, I hope. If it's meant to be, it will be. And if not, you know, it'll be something like that. I've just gotten more ideas about things and how I want to do things, and how I want to work more with my mediumship than just the oracle cards. And I'm working on that. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. Until next time, thanks for letting the bitchy witch come out and speak her truth, because the truth is love is all there is. But we do need to work through the crappy stuff too. And then when we do, as long as we leave like this, that's all that matters. So like I've said before, you got to get through it to get to it. So get through it and get to it every time it happens. There's no like spiritual, like, you know, bad, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's bullshit. Yes, stay on a high vibration as much as possible. Bring that good stuff to you. Be like, yeah, bring it to me, bring it to me. But then there's life moments that we cannot control, and it's okay to get it out. That's natural. That's normal. Keeping it in is not healthy. All right, until next time, take really good care of yourselves and each other. Blessed be. Oh.